Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back. If you're new, welcome, welcome. My name is Georgia. So let's get into this recap and a review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 8, Episode 11, titled Nell-Raiser. Like Hellraiser, but Nell-Raiser. Get it? Okay. So we start off where we left off, of course, where Nell and her family are talking. She's letting them know that, listen, you guys got to grow up and, take care of yourself and stop coming to me financially and stuff like that. And the kids are telling her that, Mom, you also need to see Dr. Francis. If we're going to go to therapy, you need to be in therapy as well. You need a one-on-one with Dr. Francis. And Nell basically is like, I'm not doing it. I don't need it. And then after they talked to her a little bit more about it, they didn't call it therapy. They called it counseling. She said, you know what? Let me think about it. But, as we find out down the line, she actually did have the family counseling session with Dr. Francis. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But they left it there when she said, okay, we'll think about it. Now we have Marceau and Marquise, which is Latricia's husband / ex-husband, whatever. But before I get into it, I gotta say, I give it to Marceau. Marceau held his feet to the fire. He did not, I guess he expected to come to Marceau and probably like skate through and have his bro in his corner or whatever. But Marceau gave it to him, and I gotta applaud him for everything that he said to him, because I was on his side. I was like, that's right, Marceau, you tell him. That's exactly how it is. So let's get into it. So how they know each other is that Marquise used to work with Marceau when he was the manager at the movie theater. If you guys don't know, that was one of his first jobs, that he was a manager at the movie theater. So Marquise worked with him there. So now Marquise moved out of town. He moved away from Alabama to Georgia, and now he's back in town for whatever reason, I guess to talk to Trish or whatever. So he goes to see Marceau first because he wants some advice of how to approach the whole situation with Latricia and with Kenneth. So Marceau is like, wait a minute, I know she have a husband, but I didn't know it was you that they were BS. Yeah, they said that Huntsville is tiny and everybody know everybody. Marceau, you knew who that woman was and that her connection was to Marquise. But okay, that's what you're gonna tell us. We gonna roll with it. So then we find out that Marquise, or we already knew that they got married very young at 18 years old, right after they graduated high school. And then she got pregnant with their first child. So they have a son and a daughter together. I think their son is 17 and their daughter right now is about 10. But he left the household when his daughter was about 7. So Marceau actually he came out and said that, when Trisha's parents passed away, and as we know, they passed away within 6 months of each other, that Marquise didn't pick up the slack. He wasn't there for them. He was still hanging out with his friends. He still expected Trish to come home and just be everything, the wife of whatever, and just be there for him and whatever. And we didn't also know that Trish had a sister who also passed away because she didn't want to get a heart transplant, so she passed away. So she has 3 family members that passed away within, I think, a year of each other. And that's a lot for one person to deal with, because now you're thinking, okay, the core people in my life that I know, they're not here anymore. Who's going to be in my corner? Okay, I got my family. He's supposed to be my husband, supposed to be there for everything, to pick up the slack and everything. And then you're not around. You're leaving the house to go hang out with friends and doing whatever you want to do. So, of course, she's going to check out emotionally. And that's what he said. But he's trying to put the blame, saying that Kenneth was in Trisha's DM long before that. Like, that's the reason why she fell in love with working out at the gym, and that because Ken was putting chocolate emojis under Trisha's pictures and stuff like that, that hey, she was creeping before he left the household. But he did say he left the house, and Marceau was like, you walked out on your family. You left your house, you left your children, you walked out on your family. And he's like, oh, I'm upset that that Ken is taking my daughter to to daddy-daughter dance. He's buying stuff for my son. He's taking my son to games and stuff like that. And Marcel's like, well, he picked up where you left off. You actually walked away from your family, and the man is there to pick up the slack. So Marcel said, you need to be talking to Ken, and the first thing you need to tell, first thing out of your mouth should be thank you. You should have seen Marquis' face like, what? Yes, and I agree with Marcel. Ken didn't have to come in and pick up the slack, but because he knows that he wants to be with Trish, and he knows it's important to her to have somebody in her corner, that's what he's gonna do. I mean, yes, you could be separated from your spouse or divorced from your spouse, but you don't walk away from your kids. And that is exactly what Marquis did. He left Alabama and moved to Georgia. For what reason? What is for a job? Was it for another person? And I'm hoping that the person that Marquis is with now is paying attention to how he treated Trish. Yes, they may have gotten married young. He might have felt like he missed out on some stuff in life. That's why, you make time to sow your oats, your wild oats, as they say, and get to know other people. But you guys chose to get married right out of high school and have a kid. So therefore, you didn't get to live out your 20s, like they say, your wild 20s. You didn't get to live it out. So now you figure, oh God, what did I miss? I'm in a marriage. I'm expected to be faithful to my wife. What did I miss? Let me go out here and find. You have 2 kids that are looking up to you. He's saying that he don't want his daughter calling Ken dad. Well, make sure that doesn't happen. Be there for whenever she needs you. Be there for when your kids need you. Why the hell you gone all that way to a whole nother state and not be there for your children? And even if you do move to another state, you make it so that you are there when they call. Dad, I need this. Be there. FaceTime. Show up on weekends. You work on weekends, make time during the week, because you're the one who left your family. So I like the fact that Marcel did not let him just skate past that or let him try to put the blame on Ken. Like, Marcel, I give it to you. High five. I give it to you. Let me see. What else did I miss with that exchange right there? Because they were talking for a long time. Yeah, Marcel told him he picked up where you left off. You walk away. You walk out on your family, dude. And then, you know what I think Marquis wanted to have happen? Okay, you know what, Trish? You go ahead and you sit right here on the shelf. Let me go run the streets, and when I'm done running the streets, I'll come back and pick you up, and then we continue with our family. And when that didn't happen, homeboy was mad. He went to go try to find out to see if the grass is greener on the other side, and when he found out that it's not, he is mad. Oh well, you shouldn't have left your family. Somebody is there who actually cares. You thought Ken was going to be there for a moment and not want to marry Trish, but he's here for the long haul, and you're just going to have to live with that. Sorry, not sorry. All right, so now we leave that scene. Mark, I got to say it again one more. Marcel, you did really well with this scene right here. I liked everything that you told him. You did well. All right, so we're going to leave them there, and then we're going to move on to Mel and Miss Nell. So Mel invited Miss Nell over to have, lunch at her home. And, they're just catching up on whatever. And Miss Nell is telling her that her family, that she invited the family over, the kids over, to talk about them being more financially responsible for themselves. And the whole conversation flipped to where they're telling her that she needs therapy. So Melody told her that, now you could be a little bit much. She's like, you take it to another level. Miss Nell told her that she is so stressed out to the fact where she didn't pass her physical because now she has high blood pressure. Girl, you be take your amlodipine, take your blood pressure pill, and lessen your stress. She's talking that they're getting ready for graduation because she owns a daycare. So now the kids are graduating from daycare and they're going on to kindergarten. So she's getting ready for that. And they talk about the therapy. Nell tell her that, there are times when you kind of blow up at me too. So, maybe you really need to consider it. She's like, don't think bad of it. Just take one for the team right now. Go to therapy. You might even like it. She says that, we as black people, which is true, we frown upon going to therapy. We believe that going to church is going to solve it all. But there are other groups of people who swear by therapy and it works. So she's like, go to therapy. It's good to have an outside source who may see things differently and might, give you some insight. So therefore, go ahead, do it with the family, and then take it from there. You might even like it. So that was a quick lunch between Mel and Miss Nell. Mel didn't talk about anything that was happening with her. I think the whole conversation focused on just Miss Nell and what's happening with her in her family. So now we have we have Nell and her family, and this is therapy session. We see her and Chris in the kitchen, getting drinks together, getting ready to talk to Dr. Fletcher. And then we see the kids coming into the house. Again, they're walking slow, like, oh shucks, what are we getting into now with mom? And I hear one of them say, oh my God, I'm scared. So I don't know. So then we see Dr. Fletcher come over. Not Fletcher. Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis comes in. Chris, lets him in and stuff. And everybody's in the room. Nell goes in and she tells what her issues are. Everything that she's saying. And the whole gist of the meeting is so that they could set boundaries for the kids. Lance, which is Nell's son, Chris' stepson, goes in and says, sometimes I don't even want to come talk to you. I'd rather go to Chris because he actually listens. You listen just to have a rebuttal. And then Mr. is like, but that's because I already done told you. Before it even happened, that's what was going to happen. And if you had listened to me, then I wouldn't have to come back and say something to you. Because we've been through this and I know what's going to happen. So Miss Nell was just fed up because she's like, you know what? I give you advice before you go on and do some dumb stuff. And you still go ahead. And that's what happened. So they talked for a little while. Miss Nell had a lot to say. Poor Dr. Francis had to stand up so that she just get everything out. And then the kids were like, Lance was like, he was the one doing most of the talking. He was like, and that's why we go to Chris. So Miss Nell was like, well, continue to go to him then to see if he's going to solve all your ish. She was cussing. She was carrying on. Then Dr. Francis said, you see, your mom loves all you guys and she is passionate about the things that she says because of the love that she has for you. That is why she comes off kind of harsh, because she doesn't want to see anything happen to you. So then Dr. Francis said, okay, so what happens when she starts going off like that? And the kids were like, well, we shut down. We shut down emotionally because we know that whatever we say, she's not going to listen to, so why even bother? So then he asked Miss Nell to get up and say something nice to each and all the kids. So, she said what she had to say to Kiki, who is her niece that she's raising. Kiki looks at her like a mom. She said something nice to her. Said something really nice to Lance about him being an entrepreneur, and she know he's gonna be okay. She told Kayla, which is the daughter that she and Chris have together, that, girl, I see you. I know you are the quiet one, but know that I see you. And then to CJ, that's my little friend right there. To CJ, she said, son, I see you. I see you trying to make strides. I'm going to be here for you. And just continue to move. I'm proud of you. She said, she told all the kids, she said, I'm proud of all of you. And I want you to keep moving forward. So that was some nice stuff that she said. And I think they wrapped it up with that. But that was just the first session. They need more. They need a lot more as a family. And I think they need more as individuals. So that was nice to see. Maybe there'll be a spin-off with Nell and her family. And to see how they grow going into the future. All right. So that was the scene between Nell, Chris, her family, and Dr. Francis. And now we have the last scene of the episode. We have Trish and Marquise meeting in the park in the evening. She's wondering what the hell this dude wants, because he basically left us as a family, moved on and was doing his thing, and now he's back. So they're talking, meet at the park. Marquise is telling her we're gonna be connected for life because we have kids, which is true. He's like, I don't like the way my real problem is with Ken. And Trish was like, well, basically Ken picked up again where what's his name, Marceau told him. He's like, Ken picked up where you left off. You left your family and he's here. He's like, Mr. Muscles came in and took over. She was like, well, even though he looked tough, he's a real big teddy bear until, you know, you push him to that point, just like anybody would be if you push them to that point. So she's like, I don't know what you're going to do. But she's basically telling him, listen, I want my divorce. I want these papers signed. And I want to move on with my life. So she's like, he's a great guy. He is there. You weren't. You left. And it is what it is. So my thing to that is that Marquise, have the conversation with Ken and be like what Marceau told you. Tell him thank you for stepping in when I wasn't there. I know that gonna hurt him to say that. He's never gonna say that. Sign the papers, as Melody would say. Sign the papers, and let us move on with Trish and Ken. Let us see a wedding this season or next season coming up. Because you're standing in the way, my boy. It don't seem like you want your family back. Like I said, you just want Trish to be alone raising your kid and for you to slide in whenever you feel like it. You just come around when you feel like it, but go ahead and live your life. Let Ken come in and take over and do his thing. Have a relationship with your kids. You don't need to have a relationship with their mom like that for you to have a relationship with your kids. And move on and go make somebody else happy if you want to. So that was the episode with everyone. My favorite part of this episode was the conversation between Marceau and Marquise, and the fact that he told him you walked away from your family, that the minute you left that household and cut off communication with your kids, that was it. You don't ever cut off communication with your kids. Yeah, we have some moms who try to hide the kids. They take them places and the father can't find them. You do what you have to do to find your kids and make sure that you have a good relationship. Because what's going to happen as an absentee father, the next person that steps in and shows them the attention and the love that they need and the listening ear that they need, that's who they're going to look at as their confidant. They're looking at you like you can handle the family and you walked away. You're a quitter. That's how they're looking at it. So, yeah, that was my favorite scene with Marceau and Marquise. And that is my recap and my review. Make sure you check out all the links in the description. Check out my Shopify store, my 2 Etsy shops. I haven't put my TikTok shop link in the description. I need to. But go ahead and check out all the links in the description. If you're interested in more reality TV review, entertainment news, entertainment gossip, finding out how to go about doing entrepreneurship, all e-commerce, I have playlists for all of that separated in the description. So make sure you go ahead and check it out. And until next time, be sure to take care of yourselves and your family. Thanks again for watching, guys. Bye-bye.